Hey everybody, I'm Cinnamon Cooney. I'm your Art Sherpa, and today on the Big Art Quest, we're going to talk about art bullies and generally criticism and how you can deal with those things and retain a sense of happy. I want to start out right away by saying this is not a mental health care advice show at all. I'm not qualified or trained in any way, like I had a semester of psych. I'm just going to be sharing today some of my strategies that have been successful for me over the years dealing with these type of circumstances. I'm kind of hoping that you guys will also be sharing like successes that you have had and stories that you've been going through, and that we can get kind of a really loving, supportive, open conversation happening about this. On the mic today is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
John is on the mic because he tracks me with cameras.
I do.
He does, theoretically. Did you do it?
No, I didn't have to push a button.
You didn't do it?
Somewhere. One? Did I push it? No, it's not switching.
Okay, well, theoretically,
there
he
it is.
tracked me with cameras.
There it is. See?
No, he's really brilliant at it. I'm like, here now.
See, now you're going to mess with me.
He does that. But he does something more important. He reads the comments. If you come here on the replay, we do these live, and then they're left up for replay. And John is reading a stream of comments from about 300 plus people, generally, that are all having a lot to say, and he's just trying to read that and follow me with cameras. So that's what's happening there. Woo! What a topic today. Bullying. It is a big topic. It's a hot topic now. I mean, it's certainly not a new thing. And criticism. And I think that those are two things that in art they're not like the predominant experience, but they are an experience that we can have as creative people. Mm-hmm. And I am of the mind that there's two kinds of journeys in art. There's a skill journey where you're kind of like Pokemon Go. You're collecting art skills and you're putting them together. And then there's also an unseen journey, a journey inside of yourself, really where you're getting back to a more authentic, whole person, which is why I think a lot of people like to come to art for healing and well-being, because it does help you get back in touch with your own inner architecture, which sometimes modern life is so complicated and so crazy that we forget to just be, this is the phrase for the week, deep and simple. We forget to do that. We forget to just really feel what we're feeling and keep our lives simple, and it gets crazy and it gets complicated. And today, I'm going to definitely be pulling from my own experience. I was really bullied as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, pretty badly. And, you know, that definitely, I think anybody who goes through that leaves them with some, a different perspective, some life skills, certainly some things that have helped me as an adult, though I don't know at the time. I was sitting there thinking, gosh, this is going to help me later when I grow up. I think I was just thinking, oh my gosh, let me survive this, and I hope these kids don't kill me, and, you know, all the stuff I think that kids go through in school when they're bullied. And it was different when I was growing up because you were told to ignore the people who were chasing you with the switchblades. That's very effective, by the way.
You know,
running is good.
One of the things that I noticed a lot of people saying in here is that they feel like they're their own worst bully.
Well, and that's the first one we're going to talk about.
Yeah?
Right? Yeah, that's the first bully that we're going to talk about. I think in my observation of people going through an art journey, certainly from my own experience going through an art journey, if I put that all together, I would say the predominant critic at best, that's the best, your own worst critic. And then sometimes I have seen people really bully themselves. And that is a persistent aggressive behavior towards themselves where they really talk so negatively and so hatefully to themselves. And they don't realize they are because they're saying it to their painting. And one of the things that you might not be aware of, oh my goodness.
That even helped there.
He's my support system. He's not my bully.
You okay? A little cough there?
I did.
Oh.
They'll look at their painting and they'll say a bunch of terrible stuff about it, and they'll do it before you can do it, and they say it to themselves, and it undermines the whole purpose of the creative process. Because the whole purpose of the creative process is for you to come back to yourself and start really unpacking those self-acceptance, self-love tools, and that's what hopefully a life of creativity will help you achieve. That's the goal. Though keep in mind, I've been in art a long time, and art comes with the same kinds of personalities that are out in the world. So there are really crummy people who paint. You know what I mean? That it's just true. Sometimes terrible murderous dictators also paint.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't cure it. Doesn't cure being, completely murderous dictator. I don't know what benefit it gave him. Maybe it gave certain despots a sense of relaxation in the middle of their murder death.
Mm.
I don't know, but what I'm saying is it's not a magic bullet. Being creative isn't a magic bullet. It's an opportunity. You still have to be present for it. So I do think that the number one thing that we do to ourselves is we say, my painting sucks, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, my friend, she's better than me, my friend, he's better than me, I'll never get this, I'm just stupid, I'm just worthless, and these are really poisonous things to be saying to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It not only does not help you grow your art skills in any way, nobody gets better from, you totally suck, you stop sucking now. That doesn't coach you, that doesn't inform you, that doesn't instruct you in any way. That just wears your spirit down.
Yeah.
So if there's a way for you to not do that, you should probably embrace that. And I'm going to give you one of those.
Yeah.
The one I do. Because look, I do this too. I look at my pieces. I have a whole relationship to my piece where I'm like doing it. I'm doing it. I don't know. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not good. And I'm going through that. But what I do try to do in every piece at the end, no matter how I'm feeling about it, is I try to find 1 to 3 things I think I nailed.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
totally.
It's real easy to see you messed up this perspective. You got heavy with the line over here. It's so easy to see where you messed up. Nobody needs to help you there, right? They need to help you know, 1, what you did right. And the other thing I think it's really important, especially as teachers, that we can do is maybe help you what you almost about to do right. I get that from you guys a lot where you'll say, hey, something here is happening. I don't know what it is. It's kind of bugging me. And I'm thinking, wow, you are so close to getting this concept. So a lot of times I like to share that with you. Like, hey, it's time to start doing some eye tutorials because you're really close to getting those.
So Janine just shared this. This is, clatter, clatter, kids. So Janine shared this, and this is, I really relate to this. And she says, she keeps saying to herself, I should have this down by now. I've been doing this for so long. I should have gotten it. I shouldn't keep struggling with this problem.
Yeah.
I say that to myself too. So
I think that's a sentence. You put an I should be based on what?
Well, everyone else, right?
Right? Based on an ideal that you put ahead, based on a projection of what you thought it took somebody else to get that skill, based on a projection of something that somebody told you once that it should take you. Like, I think because art starts out in this methodology, we're kids, we're given crayons. Some of us demonstrate a skill that the teacher personally feels represents art talent. And we're divided to a little corner and we're told we're talented. Well, what happened to everybody else in the room who was coloring happily, right? Now, all that happened is a group of kids developed and demonstrated a particular art skill that particular teacher perceives as representing being talented.
Right.
That's really arbitrary. That's like lottery time there, right? And then we start formulating ideas of like, well, I should be able to draw a shark by now. I have a lot of art skills, and I struggle with cars. I talk about it all the time. I'll show you guys sometimes. It's a struggle for me. And I've been going for decades. When am I supposed to get it? I guess when I feel like working on it. But it's not like there was a time I was supposed to have resolved that issue, and then I missed it.
Now, what about like, how by human nature we compare ourselves to each other for measurement, like how we're doing. So how do we? How do I not do that? How do I not compare myself to someone else?
So I like to actually say, let's step out of comparing and start talking about benchmarking. Right?
Okay, well, what's benchmarking?
So it's different. Benchmarking is something that I might intentionally do as a very established, confident artist. I might look out at peers that are at my level or near my level and observe how I'm doing in regards to that landscape.
Okay.
Right? Am I producing enough work? Am I working at the top of my game? Am I working at my level, producing work that's quality? Am I, entering enough shows? That's a wonderful way to use comparison. When you're coming up as a student, you cannot compare yourself to anybody else. This part of the journey is in no way an indicator of where you'll be in a year. Now, literally, whatever you're struggling with now is not an indicator that you will necessarily be struggling with in a year. What you're terrible at now, you may be brilliant at next year. You don't know when those moments are going to happen, when those illuminated creative epiphanies will occur, and they do all along the way, where you're just sitting there going, not getting it, not getting it, not getting it. I'm getting it. And not only do you get it better, than you've ever gotten it, and it comes together. You cannot tell from where you are where you're going to be. That's why I'm always like, do not judge this journey by the first step. You could be sitting there with some crazy stick figures. I tell this story a lot. I had a friend in high school, could not, by any outward indication, draw. Okay, it was like painful, and this is when I was in high school. We're all in some of us are talented and some of us that kind of crazy stage where you've been divided into space. And he really wanted to be a great comic artist. He wanted to be like amazing, and you just don't want to tell anybody, dude, I don't know. But he did it every day for several hours a day, and he never stopped, and now he's one of the best graphic artists I've ever seen.
Yeah.
His first drawing would not have been any indication of what he was capable of. His potential was not totally evident in that first drawing. Your potential is not evident necessarily in your first paintings. It's intangible. Only like, I don't know, a divine energy knows what that is. But the rest of us, we don't know. That's why I'm always like, be optimistic about your potential.
Now,
be optimistic about who you are.
Now, there's some couple questions here that reminded me of something. I don't remember exactly. You were talking about benchmarking. You were saying that an important difference between benchmarking and comparison was like how you selected who you benchmarked with.
Yes, I think it's very important. One, don't pick people that you hate. Don't do that. Don't be in the middle of trying to grow yourself, trying to see how you're coming up, right? And this is only when you're ready for it, when you're like, yeah, I'm ready to kind of take my artwork out there and maybe kind of do some stuff professionally or grow some skills or things like that, and you're feeling confident. That's the only time you should even start. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to benchmark. I'm not feeling great. I'm not ready. And the minute it starts turning on me, I have to stop. But you never want to focus your attention on somebody you dislike and wish a meteor would hit. Because chances are, they're going to be on their own journey. Sometimes they're going to be doing great, sometimes they're not. And you can't have an emotional reaction in the space. Try to pick somebody that you love, admire, and would like to be like, that you're going to be happy if they're winning.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they're winning and they're doing great and they're getting in a lot of galleries and they're getting a lot of opportunities, if that's who you're focusing on, then everything that happens after that is great, and it helps you go, oh yeah, I really probably should have thrown out 3 more entries this year. I was really kind of like maybe not to my potential. It's good to have somebody that inspires you to the height of your potential, but this is only something to start doing when you are seated in your potential.
Yeah, and so there's a
don't do it at the beginning. Don't be 10 paintings in going, what do you think?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys, stop asking people what they think. Don't invite that in. First of all, people are going to tell you what they think, whether they want you to or not.
Oh, yeah.
You've no control of the crazy that's going to come out of their mouth in relationship to your art. And I cannot even like, especially if you're new on the art journey, I couldn't even warn you. I couldn't even spare you. You will hear something so crazy at some point about your artwork that your brain will literally fall out of your head.
Yeah.
You'll just be like, I can't believe they said it. You'll paint something beautiful and loving, and they'll come up and they'll be like, that's disgusting. I find that horrifying. How dare you? And walk off. You're just sitting there with your happy painting going, I don't know what that was. You're right, you don't.
And this is when you
don't know what it is. You have no idea. I'm just messing with John now. No idea.
Yeah. So you that was what I was going to say is that, yeah, when there were two things. One, when you're doing that benchmarking, yeah, definitely you want to like be cheering for the people to get their paintings or stuff selected in whatever juried event. You want to be their super fan.
And if you're not their super fan, stop looking at them.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that
seriously, you do the opposite. You look at your friends, you look at the people you're celebrating, you look at the people you admire. Stop looking at the people you don't.
Yeah. Now,
to the degree that you can. It's a moving target, guys, because we're human beings. We're obsessive. We're obsessive weird people. Just make it a goal. Don't like beat yourself up though if you make a mistake.
Yeah. Now, so the Sherpettes this is an echoing thing that I hear a lot. And I think that it's a good time to sort of reinforce that it is not tracing is not cheating.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's talk about this. Shaming. So criticism and bullying in art. There's two types of things in art. There's a sort of art bully critics, right? And then there's critiques.
Okay,
these are not the same thing. I really need to get on the soapbox. If that's cool. I'm going to get on the
soapbox.
You get on
the soapbox, and then
I got to do it, and then I'm
do
going to get to what you said there because this is relative to tracing and all of this. So a critique is an artist who pays my light bill with my painting, will go talk to other artists in that same place who are out there working professionally in this same sort of space that I am. And maybe I'm stuck in a painting. Maybe I'm like, I like everything, but I just don't feel this area here came together the way I want. Now, in a real critique, nobody's going to go, this painting is good or bad. You don't hear that in a real critique. That's not the point. It is assumed I knew what I was doing when I showed up, so nobody's going to come and tell me I didn't know what I was doing. But they will look at where I talked about, and as experienced professionals, they may come and weigh in and have insight into my media, materials, and methods. At no point do I feel shamed. At no point do I feel embarrassed. It's usually just very helpful, and it's a fantastic feeling. Criticism is just a worthless, pointless waste of air. And one of the things that I just get so, because I'm not tolerant of the intolerance, right? One of the things that makes me crazy in art is shaming. And there's a bunch of different kinds of shaming, and one of them is called talent shaming. Everybody take that in. Recognize that, because you're going to see that along the way. They're going to talent shame you. And what they're going to say is like, well, yeah, sure, it's good, but did you freehand it? See, it's talent shaming. Doesn't really matter how I completed this piece. My creative choice, my divine creative choice as a being to however I choose to put this piece together, what art skills I use, transfer, tracing, projection, freehand, splattering from the back of a plane. This is up to me as an artist, and nobody has a right, period, final, to come in and be like, oh, but you traced it, so it's not real. In what way am I hallucinating here? Is there not a painting in front of you? It's just the craziest thing. And you'll see them doing that.
That's like saying grisaille isn't painting, too.
What?
Like, that's like when they say grisaille isn't really painting.
Oh, well, there's always something that isn't really painting. I think the one that makes me the maddest right now, and John's heard me rant on this, is, and I've lived a little bit. I've been on planet Earth for a minute. Thank goodness. I'm always grateful every day to be here. And I've noticed some things. When airbrushes came out and everybody was airbrushing, you would hear this sort of kerfuffle among the artists. Well, that's not really art.
Yeah, I remember when I was trying to get the airbrushing.
Yeah,
and it was
it's not a real art form. They're faking it. I've used an airbrush. First of all, I love how people are like they're faking and have never tried to pick up one of these things and even do a fade or even attempt any of these techniques. They have no idea how hard the tool is. And also, all the same stuff that you ever had to do to create a painting, it still applies. It's just a different brush. They don't ever see that. They're just like, what on earth? Get up, get hard, get working. Now, here's the other thing. John is like, she's going to, wait, I have to finish.
Okay, go.
And the other talent shaming one that I see that really makes me mad is against digital artists.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it makes me so mad. Like, they didn't really do it. Well, they didn't really do it. It's digital. That's a really hard tool. You sit down with Cintiq and Painter and tell me if you don't think you're really creating. It is ridiculous. Yes, a trained digital artist who spent a gazillion hours you do not see can be fast at completing a piece in his tool or her tool in real life, but that doesn't mean that they didn't do 100,000 hours before your little eyeballs dropped in on them using their brush like a brilliant expert. It's still a brush. Doesn't matter that it exists in the computer world. It's still real, and shame on the shamers. Shame on the shamers. Okay.
Now, you want to talk about dropping the brush. When it comes to airbrushing, you should definitely go out and check out Bruce Eagle.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like, if you, that dude...
There's brilliant artists. There's brilliant artists and there's brilliant street. There's artists with a spray can that can blow your mind.
I'm a fan of Bruce's, but...
Media shaming. This is what it is. They shame your media. You'll be in an art show, and there'll be like rows of like, say you're in an open studio and you're up the thing and people are coming through and there's some angry, disgruntled person whose art day is not working out for them. You know what they do? They might start telling all the collectors that are just wandering through their booth how maybe you don't use the best canvases on the planet, or you're using media they don't approve of. They'll just come up with some way to try to make you less, and they think they're going to be more that way. Art doesn't work like that. The painting is done. It's done. It's just the painting now.
Yeah.
You can't talk it into being a better painting, and you can't talk it into being a worse painting, but that is an experience you'll have, and they're real sly because they'll come up, they'll be like, what did you use? Oh, you used basics. Oh, well.
Yeah. Actually, so speaking of super fanning, I have my favorite YouTuber, Todd Graham, is in the room, and he actually just made a really poignant comment.
He?
Yeah, he said and I relate to this totally because I get equipment shamed.
Yeah.
And it's like, he hates it when, you have another artist scoff at your work because the equipment you use. Like, because you didn't use a $10,000 camera, your work is obviously subpar.
Todd's going to like this. Like, there haven't been some pinhole handmade camera artists that aren't off the chain, right, Todd?
Yeah.
Just like, that's a pinhole. That was the gesture, was a pinhole through a box. Todd got it.
And I will say that we have been the scrappiest of equipment users here.
We're scrappy. Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not a status thing.
Totally Home Depot rigging up in this place.
When I talk to you guys about the difference between the grades of paint, and it's economy paint versus pro paint and all of those things, what you need to know is about the parameters of the paint. What works about it, what is a challenge, what its benefits are, what its negatives are. The work you create with that is your decision as an artist. Okay? I might, as a person with experience, say galleries are more likely to carry you if you work with pro materials. That, however, is not the end of that story.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there are fantastic artists that maybe they don't have access to pro materials. Maybe they can't afford those materials right now, right? And they're still doing completely professional, extraordinary art, and they're still getting into galleries. I might give advice. Other people should give advice. They should give advice from the perspective of this is helpful and it's something for your consideration, but it should not have a value on your work, right? I might say, hey, that paint can be troubling in this way, but it's really good on your pocketbook. That's a benefit, right? But maybe it doesn't have as much pigment and it's not as archival.
Now,
doesn't make it good or bad. That's just the facts of the paint, right? I'm not mad at my pro paints for being more money.
Dominique has a good question.
Okay.
How do you handle people saying you're not a real artist because you don't have many original pieces? Like, you're still at that place where you're, working out your...
Oh, sure. You know what? John knows this. I struggled with this real artist nonsense for years because we all come up, when are you a real artist? Well, here's an interesting thing. It doesn't matter what you thought the real artist was when you get there to that plateau. So, like, say your first thought is, I'm a real artist when I have an original voice and a body of work and I'm hanging in galleries. Well, you get there, you get an original body of work and you're hanging in galleries, and then there's a whole new group of people that will tell you you're not a real artist until you're hanging in this next set of galleries. Mm-hmm. And then you're not a real artist until you're published in these magazines. And you're not a real artist until you sell this much stuff every year. And you're not a real artist. Well, if any of those things were the parameters of a real artist, I guess Vincent van Gogh is not an artist because he didn't do any of those things that any of our contemporaries now are talking about makes real artists. People have a goal in their heart. I'm one of these people. I love goals. I love reaching for goals. But here's the thing. It's just a goal. It's not a definition of who you are. People coming up to you and going, well, you're not a real artist because you didn't this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they on the chair of MoMA? I mean, that's the first question you've got to ask yourself is, who is even talking to me, right? Is this somebody who sits on the chair of the Museum of Modern Art?
Is it true? Yeah.
Did they get their PhD? Interestingly enough, those people rarely that rude.
Okay, so
Sometimes they are, but rarely. Those people who spend their whole life in art and stuff like that are actually the least likely to come up and shame you about some part of your art practice. They might encourage you to pursue some of it more. They might say, this is really good. You should do 20 more of those. We really think that's wonderful.
what about education shaming?
Oh.
Like you weren't trained as an artist, so you're not an artist.
Yeah. Ooh, you want to... So I'm pretty mellow on our show here on YouTube.
They have not seen the soapboxes that I keep hidden behind the curtain.
First of all, I'm a sarcastic, and I will not tolerate the intolerance, right? So if I'm sitting in a room and somebody starts this, boy, they're going to get an earful from me. It's going to be a Goodwill Hunting moment in their life because I will not play. You can come up and never have any formal training and be a tremendous artist, Grandma Moses, let's be honest, right? You can come up and go through one of the top 4 Renaissance schools left on planet Earth and train for your 6 years, where you are an official master, which means you put a certain amount of work and effort into your craft, and you now have a mastery of media in art. And you guys will be peers. Those 2 guys actually probably at the top of their game, they'll be friends. They'll be peers because they get it. Mm-hmm. Right? The 100,000 hours here and the 100,000 hours that were done here, they're both still here. There's a ton of ways to educate yourself. There isn't one path to art. There isn't one right way in art. This is what trips artists up. This is what trips the judgers up. This is what trips the shamers up, is they think that there's a right way. Everything in art is not about the right way. It's about your way. It's about finding your way back into your creative process. You could do 150 pieces and never sell a one. You're as valid of an artist as, Kuntz, who's like getting big grants because you're both creating. On a basic spiritual basis, you're both creating.
Yeah.
One cannot be better than the other. It is, in the purposes of collecting, sure, we can have some educated, informed decisions we're making about where we're investing our money, and that's a whole thing. But for me, the artist, all this stuff doesn't matter. What matters is, how do I feel about my painting? How do I feel about the process of my painting? What am I getting out of it? And for somebody to come up and try to diminish that is the lowest of the lowest of the low. The low.
So, on that note, I'm going to say like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's good to have all 221 of you.
Rant, but I think it's just something we need to talk about because we just deal with it, right? Like,
no, it is. It's just,
We have parents who say, you're going to die. If you're an artist, you're going to starve to death and die. Starve to death and die. First of all, what security in life is there? I mean, we live in Houston. It's an oil industry. You could be jobless right now and be in the oil industry. There isn't security. There's hard work and earnest integrity.
Yep.
And everybody gets the same shot, and every dream is a valid, valuable dream. There are a lot of ways to make a living as an artist. I really love how people will be like a banker and tell a kid, well, this is what happens to artists. And I'm just thinking, based on your long-term information with artists, like, you don't even know any working artists. Like, if you want to know what it's like to be a working artist, ask a working artist. Don't ask a banker. Ask a banker what it's like to be a banker, because that's what they're informed of. Ask working artists what it's like to be. You get a real answer. You'll get the good truth and the hard truth and all the stuff you need to know to make a good decision about what you could do. That's my thing. It's hard. Everything is hard.
We have a full house here. It's 225 people here.
Who are not going to be picked on no more.
What I will say is that they are all just in unison agreeing and thanking you for saying this stuff. I think it's reaching a lot of people, and I think a lot of people agree with this. And it's good to have a voice.
I got art shamed as a kid.
No,
I did. I got art shamed big as a kid.
Yeah.
In my peer group, they were highly competitive, so nothing anybody did was ever good enough. You had to be. It was like some sort of Hunger Games of art. Right, and then whoever had some weird abstract skill set, that was the winner. And then you couldn't be the winner if you presented your creativity in a different way.
I completely relate to what Ian just said. Okay?
What did Ian just say?
So what he gets is get a proper job. And I came up working in the video game industry and then decided to switch from that to making YouTube videos. So I can tell you, Ian, Like, I wake up and tell people I make cat
proper
videos on YouTube.
job.
It's just like you couldn't
You couldn't say anything to people that they'd be like more crazy.
I come from the moon.
But I have some resilience for this. You know, I've had a group. I was lucky I had my mom who perceived art as an actual job because she did it for a living and does it for a living and has paid her bills for years by art.
Yeah.
Right. And our friends growing up did that. So I at least was given that as an example as an appropriate job. But certainly externally, I have been told the folly of my creative ways. The folly. The folly it is. And listen, there's just something else I really have to say. Some of the things, sometimes when people attack us, right, and really attack us, you know, and maybe they're our friends, our loved ones, our coworkers, and they attack our creativity. A couple things to realize. It feels terrible. It may feel more terrible than other attacks you've experienced in your life, maybe about your weight, appearance, or something like that. The reason is that when you paint, you become very truthful and honest and exposed. And it doesn't matter the result of the painting, whether it's the most skilled Michelangelo on the planet or somebody's first, you know, attempt at layering paint on canvas. For the purposes of what's happened inside of us, they're both equally raw and authentic and real. And for somebody to come back and see the truth of us and disrespect it is such a foul experience. It is such a demeaning experience, and it can be extraordinarily painful. It's like somebody telling you that the core of your soul is not valid. And maybe they know it, and maybe they don't know it, but at the end result, that's your experience. And what I want to say to you is you don't deserve that. Period. You do not deserve somebody to come shame, disrespect, and harm you. And I don't mean that not everything is bullying. You know, two grown adults can have a disagreement.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe even not speak as respectfully to each other as they should. And as long as it's not persistent and there's not a huge power imbalance, we can come back from that. But that is real different than, I'm gonna use the example of something I heard where you take your art to a family Thanksgiving and you put it out and a portion of the family then is like, oh, did you mean that? Right? I mean, here you are, you're showing people that you love and trust, and then they're like, oh, I really don't like that. I think it's really ugly. Were you in a bad place? Dude, I'm pissed stuff people can say to you about your art. You know, what I can tell you is that a couple things. In families, people are invested in the relationship that they have with you. So you all come up together, and they have an idea of who you are, and you've been put in a nice box, right? You've been labeled, whatever it is that you do. You're Marcia the pharmacist. Boom. Marcia knows about pharmacy, and Marcia brings this particular casserole dish to every holiday event, and we get Marcia. If Marcia shows up and says, I'm painting now, and this is me creatively, you can't believe the reactions people can have to that. And I think what that is, just observationally, is that it's people are invested in what they've made up their minds about, and when you deviate from that, when you say, oh no, I'm a creative being, it just freaks them out. And it's they're reacting to that being freaked out, not to you. Bullying has nothing to do with you, weirdly.
Yeah, it really
You're just getting caught up in somebody else's crazy storm.
It really
Their
is.
shady boots are just tromping through your tulip patch with their little shady boots. It doesn't have anything to do with you or your tulips. It's the fact that they put on their shady boots today and they needed somewhere to stomp.
Yeah, it really is. It's not about you. It's totally about them.
It isn't. And it's crazy. It can get out of hand. Like, if you've got people who are attacking you, I want to say that you probably have more people out there that are supporting you. And some advice I would like to give, something that helps me, is one, go to your friends. Like I tell my mommy if somebody's mean to me. I always tell my mommy. I go to the people I know and trust who are on my team, and I take my wound to them. I don't try to pretend I don't have a wound. If somebody comes and attack you, you have a wound. It happened. You're feeling it. Take it to your friends. You can all, you get validated and you get uplifted and you get brought up. And the other thing that I think is important is start to silence the negativity.
Yeah.
So here's some tips. If you're on Facebook, and say you have a family member or a friend or somebody in your social network who is not supportive of your art, And I know this happens because so many of you are like, I need to share this privately because crazy people in my life will be mean.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, I have to come here to share my art, which always makes me like, I just want to come and talk to all your families and sit them down and be like, now listen. But since that's not really time feasible, we'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
You can unfollow. You don't have to unfriend this family member. You can unfollow. And they even have take a break now as an option on Facebook. And most of your social media will have this. And I just want to say, if you're getting input from people that make you feel bad and make it hard for you to do the thing that is good for your spirit, just silence them a little while. I have to say, being on YouTube has been very liberating. The ability to just mute people who I don't have time for what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're like, I hate you, shut up, you're stupid. I'm like, oh, mute. I don't even take it in. I'm like, mute. Now, if they come into my personal space, obviously on my private page, I take that in. But, here on the YouTube, I don't. It's fantastic. And I have thought often, I wish we had this button for life. Like I'm like somewhere and somebody's saying something crazy to me. I wish I could go, block.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? Block. I'm not taking it in, but we have to practice not internalizing it.
Well, Cheryl asks, she has an issue with that, and I totally relate to this because, sometimes you'll go places and you have friends or family that can just unsolicited come in under the radar, right?
Oh yeah, they just get to you, don't they? They're just everywhere.
So, yeah, how do you deal with So she asks, how do you deal with family members that say they don't like your work? Are you ever going to get better?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
I have those too, by the way. Mom and I have those too. We have family members that do that.
They're just like, man.
We all got some.
I
think, it used to be that I used to feel like I really needed to defend my work and justify it and do that. And then I started realizing the people that were commenting were not people, and this is in my family. I might have love for them, right? I might be willing to give plasma for them. But as people, I didn't really have like a big investment in like what their opinions were on the world in general.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like really ask yourself why you're putting weight to their opinion. If it's a really important relationship, if it's outside of this art experience, a very good relationship, then I highly recommend that you talk to that person and let them know that this is a space that you want to be left alone. And if it's that kind of a good relationship, like, you have a normally good relationship with your mom, but for some reason she's being critical about your art, right? That's probably worth having that extra conversation to say, hey, how you're dialoguing is hurting me, and if you could give me the space to just do this because it's important to me, I'd appreciate it. I think it's completely worth it. There are members of your family, though, that you may not have that same investment with, even though you would give them plasma. Definitely hit the unfollow button on Facebook and in your heart on these issues. Not for them as beings, but kind of go, do I really if a crazy racist KKK member comes up and is like, I hate your painting, I'm kind of like, oh,
You're
that's
crazy.
Good. I'm like, that's good. I would be really freaked out if you liked it. It would really make me question myself as an artist, like that I missed somebody was like really trashing the work on the channel, but their name was Killing Spree 43. And I thought, yeah, probably my happy little paintings are not your cup of tea.
Yeah. That's okay.
And I'm okay with that. Block, but I'm okay with that.
We missed.
Block. The other thing is like censorship. Have you guys been censored yet?
Yeah.
Where something about your art offends people. And now look, not every art should be publicly put on Facebook. If you're working on your figure drawing, you got a lot of nudes, don't put this on Facebook. I mean, seriously, that's like just dropping nudes all over somebody's house randomly. It would be weird, right? But in your own home, in your own space, in your own practice, you are allowed to paint what you like, and nobody's allowed to tell you not to. There's a guy painting with cadavers here in Houston. We're not all going to tell him not to. It's so weird. I don't know what to think of it, but it is good work, and I'm going to stand vigil to make sure he has the right to hang it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's his journey. Doesn't have anything to do with me. His art doesn't harm me. His art doesn't sneak into my studio and change my media out, so I'm also painting with people's ashes. That's not what's happening. That's in his studio, and I think sometimes we forget that. It's like somebody else's journey does not necessarily sneak into my own journey.
Mm-hmm.
I can control what I'm going through, and they can go through what Only if they're coming in my studio, removing my materials, replacing it, do I have to get upset. Does that happen? Yes, it does. Weird as that is, that is something that happens. Oh, you know what the one I really want to talk about is?
What's that?
Success shaming.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I know of a situation where a young lady was a very good painter. This is not me. Stuff like this has happened to me, but I'm going to use an example of somebody I know. And she was entering in her local league, her art league. You know, there's groups and art leagues and stuff like that.
Yep.
And she was winning. Oh my goodness, she's such a good painter. And she had such a fresh perspective on everything. And, you know, they were bringing in different jurors from all over the country. It wasn't like it was skewed. She wasn't politically high up in the organization. She was just really painting some stuff that resonated with people. She was pulled aside by a group of girls. I'm going to call them the Blue Bonnet Militia.
That.
And told to stop entering the shows because she was ruining it for everybody else.
They weren't having a good time anymore.
Because she was winning.
Because she was so good that she entered and won. I remember that. And she had really, really, really good flowers. And they were like, you see a lot of pictures of flowers, so somebody's got to have a new voice when they paint a flower for you to go, wow, Blue Bonnets, you have a new voice with those.
Blue Bonnets, but
you know, what?
But she could have.
Yeah.
And done it really well. She had they didn't ask her. They didn't ask to come into her studio and understand more of how she was creating artwork. They didn't want to know why she was winning. They were just mad at her for winning.
And it was
I know somebody else that was just shamed for like doing really good with their class.
Inversely, you know, because you don't succeed at a class, it doesn't mean that you're not a good artist. Like, I totally blew pottery. I am the saddest potter.
I like your little pots.
You were
good at glazing.
You know what? I think that like
he was really good at glazing. He can handle all the weird glazes.
I make tactical pottery. Like, you could throw it, or it would survive an apocalypse.
It was fun.
It's very thick.
His mom has it.
It's very
collection. But he was really good at glazing,
and it melts. But look,
and the kiln. He was really good at the kiln.
I'm okay with things that burn, but not pottery.
So the thing is like people will sometimes shame you for winning, and that's another thing, to be made to feel bad because you're doing well, and that's a really common thing. And again, does that have anything to do with you? Was there anything wrong with her at all? No, nothing wrong with her art, nothing wrong with her. What was wrong is those women didn't feel capable of, you know, also shining in that situation, and they felt like she was taking their little starlight away.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to be their own stars in their own lives.
Yeah.
And they weren't feeling centered in their own art. It was all about them. A lot of times when I hear an artist go completely negative on another artist, I go to their studio, everything that they were negative about was where they were working their own, like, weak in their own practice. Do you remember that one time I was like, that guy was like, you're so illustrative. And I'm like, I said to John, I said, what do you bet? Drawing is not his skill.
Yeah.
And sure enough, drawing wasn't his skill. Now, that's not really a problem. But where he was attacking me was where he felt weak.
Yeah.
And somehow my being comfortable in a particular space, he felt was a reflection on him, even though it is not. It's that comparison is the killer of joy thing. You know, and we all deal with censorship in art. Like, we have the, you know, government grants and things like that. And as you go up in art, you'll become more and more aware of censorship. But, you know, and success shaming. Ooh, success shaming really just makes me really crazy. The other thing I want to say is, and this is a big one, your race, sexual orientation, gender, weight, religion has nothing to do with your art except what you choose to put into your art.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Seriously. You would think that that's not something you should have to say, but it really, really still is around the world today. None of these things make you a good or bad artist. And if you choose to talk about your experience in your art based on what you're going through, that's fantastic. I want to say something else. If you choose to talk about an experience maybe you haven't gone through, but you're, as an artist, you're wanting to take that on and you want to talk about another experience, that's not wrong. But you can get attacked for those things terribly. There's an artist, Zammy, who is a Steven Universe fan. And when I was doing research for this talk, for this quest, I ran across her story. And she did fan art. I like fan art. Fan art is awesome. and is also apparently very dangerous because she literally ended up in the hospital after a suicide attempt from being bullied on Instagram and Tumblr and other locations where she was posting her fan art by the fandom. Because first it started out that she was fat shaming because she drew one of the characters a little thinner than she was drawn on the show. And then it was that she was racist because they didn't feel that maybe a character was ethnic enough. And then, I don't know, eventually got down that she was against, transgendered everything. I mean, like, she was getting attacked for everything she drew. And I looked through the body of work, and other than being fan art, it didn't really have those kinds of perspectives. But the comments she was getting were really extraordinarily scary. And that can happen. You can have people come up and they'll really have a reaction to your work. I went to a Black Baptist college, actually, for my art degree. And, these topics, and we were certainly encouraged to paint and discuss these topics, and I did. And so I got some resiliency from some of this stuff, right? Because people would have real reactions to maybe if I chose to paint a certain topic.
Yeah.
Right? Not like, hey, this is what I'm taking from this. This is the empathy I'm feeling. This is the observations I'm making. I'm putting that together in a piece of work. But just that I didn't even have the right to paint it and vice versa. And you'll see that in art. On my Moana on this channel, I think my number one comment is that she does not look Hawaiian enough.
Hawaiian enough. Dark skin enough.
Yeah. That's true.
She was
actually totally used some student paint. The watercolor faded way out, and the model I picked had this like really strong sunset on her face, and I was trying to catch that. All of that was not about me trying to change the nature of Moana. It was really about me having kind of a failure in my art process. Now, I haven't been attacked or harmed or harassed, but that would be an area that I could be.
Yeah.
Right? And now I, as an artist, when people have said that to me, when they've questioned me, I kind of stood back in a very calm way and looked at it and I was like, yeah, well, the watercolor got a little bit faded.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, that's when I upgraded to the cores. And I'm like, and the acrylic didn't quite convey it. And if I did it again, I would do it differently. Right? But you will have people come up and have some real intense reactions to your work. Can happen. Just can. Doesn't mean you shouldn't talk about the things that impact you or that you see or that you feel, right? You definitely should. Doesn't mean you shouldn't tell your life story authentically. You should. And those topics, art is supposed to talk about those topics, those unspeakable topics that we don't talk about really well in real life because we lose our minds. Artists are supposed to talk on those subjects. So if you are and you're taking flack for that, I just want to say, that is a wonderful calling as an artist, and try to, as often as you can, recognize that the reaction you're getting has nothing to do with what's going on. But if you get really attacked by like that girl Zammy did,
yeah,
we have some numbers in the description for different locations for helplines. You can get attacked enough, with the online movement in art where artists are marketing online,
yeah,
you can get a kind of bullying that I've never seen in art before. Right? You can get tons of people attacking you. I know another creator who was attacked for the way that she spoke because she had been injured and was damaged in her ears. And the attacks were vicious.
Yeah.
And nothing, it was like extraordinary. And once it started, sometimes it gets sticky and people get involved. It is okay. There's some situations where somebody, if somebody comes up and they're like, oh, I don't like what you painted with, right? I don't like your medium. I think that's lowbrow or whatever, some crummy comment. All right, that's one level of a problem. And that's about, you can go home and do a little doodle sketch to get that energy out and work through it emotionally. But if you've got people really coming at you, please get help. Nobody is resilient enough for that. What I saw that girl Zammy going through, I think the number one thing I wanted to say to her is, day 3, she should have been talking to somebody about what she was experiencing because it's atypical. We are not designed to be attacked online.
Yeah.
Like that. And if you are going through that, if you're a young person and you're going through that kind of extreme bullying, no, that's not normal. That's not something you should muscle through. That's not something you should just try to shoulder through, okay? Because there's levels. If your safety starts to feel threatened, if the core of your being starts to feel threatened, dude, parachute out of that situation and get some help.
Yeah.
Okay? A wonderful angry palette knife painting is healing to a point. And then after that, you need to get some assistance and a team on your side. Do we have any questions?
We've had a huge audience out here. We've got almost 250 people here. I'm like, you've been like, you've had a lot to say.
I have a lot to say on this. Well, you know me. I actually have a lot to say on this subject just in general. I'm like,
everybody has really agreed with this. That's what I will say is the overwhelming thing is people really wanted to say thank you for being so open and sharing this.
well, I mean, you're sharing this too, right?
Yeah.
You're hearing this experience. Everybody's had some degree of shaming or bullying or negativity that happens in their art. And how we bounce back from that negativity is what defines us.
Yeah.
Everybody has a bad day. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to yell, yell. If you need to throw yellow paint on a canvas and yell at that yellow paint, do that. You have a divine right to find a path to feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But don't underestimate the value of your creativity or your happiness or what art brings to your life. I don't know how many people might tell you that art is a waste of your time and money. I certainly have heard that in comments and messages sent to me a lot. They've been told art is a waste of their time
Yep.
and money. Well, you know what? Not everybody's a heart surgeon.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, I don't know what job it is. It isn't a waste of time. Like, what was the barrier? Like, I'm just making the world a prettier, better place. And you're just making the world a prettier, better place. And how is that a waste of time? Because there's certainly enough people trying to tear it down. At least what I'm doing with my time just makes a little happy.
So, big hugs to Abigail, who's an amazing light keeper.
Thank you, Abigail.
And, big hugs to all of our community. We've got so many people out there that we know and love with us. I really appreciate all you guys coming and hanging out with us today.
Yeah.
It's had this huge crowd and lots of love has been in the room. Really appreciate that with everyone. And, Todd's been out here really, he's been out here a whole time with us. And Ian's
Todd
been
did a
joining
really
us.
good video on Don't Tear Your Art Down, and so did Ian, the Off-Kilter Crafter. And I card those in this video after this.
Okay, and what we're going to do
And
is...
they're both creative people who've talked. I've seen so many YouTubers talk on this issue. And I hope more do. May we all, I hope all the YouTubers, all the creatives come up and talk on this issue about being creatively shamed or being attacked and how we can deal with that and strategies. Go ahead and take all your hurt feelings and make a painting.
Yep.
And then paint over it. Tim Gagnon did a wonderful painting I saw for sale, or he'd just done it when he was just feeling really low. He didn't even want to have the painting in his house anymore. It was a beautiful painting.
Yep.
But it was from a place. Take it out of your heart and put it on your art. Drama on your canvas, not in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Drama on your canvas, not in your life. Oh, can I make another advice?
You can?
I can. My other advice is, if you know somebody's crummy, don't show them your painting, please.
Oh, gosh, no.
Please, you're not. It doesn't matter how good you paint.
Don't ask
It
for
doesn't
trouble.
matter how great you did. Honestly, it wouldn't matter if you brought them the David. They're going to trash it. If they're already crummy to you, if they're already putting you down, if they're already attacking you, you being a brilliant, talented, elevated, light-keeping, wonderful, creative being is not going to stop them from their little reign of terror. No, they're on some mission that has nothing to do with you. All you can do is get the heck out of their way. And if you're at work and you're being bullied by other adults, please report that to HR.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't invite their opinions. If they're not being nice to you, don't invite their opinions. You go to a painting party and you hang it up on your wall and you're really happy with your chicken, you don't need to know what they think. Right? Yeah. Just not even their business.
Nope.
If they don't have something nice to say, they're not a juror. They're not buying it. They need a Any other questions?
Oh, my gosh. Questions, yes. Mona.
Hi, Mona.
I have a whole list of them. So,
Who is beautiful exactly the way she is. And I
that's-
really mean that, Mona. I think that every time I see your picture, I think to myself, what a beautiful lady inside and out.
Well, see, I don't even need to ask you the question. So how do we get her to start believing that? Because she asks, how do I start believing in my own art? I have so many bad art days.
How do you start believing it? Can you say that again?
How do I start believing in my own art?
Oh. How do you start believing in your own art? Start by putting value on your imagination and trusting your inner instincts and your inner well-being. In every painting, take a space of a year. Take a time to start a practice of finding what's right in your art.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Actually make it a practice. If you have to make it a game, whatever you have to do, if you have to write it down in a journal, but look at your painting and go, don't go, I did this and this wrong. Don't do that. Throw that away and start finding everything you did right and try to duplicate those skills each time as you're working on developing the ones that maybe you don't have a handle of yet, right? Something else that I do, because I know Mona is on YouTube, another thing that I do, if somebody comes in and makes a negative comment, I immediately block, delete, and then I answer 10 comments from people who came to say something nice. Because the only people that deserve my time right now, because my time is limited, are the people who came earnestly with open hearts to try and to be part of the creative process. And I would say that's the same for you. I know you've got a lot of people around you who are really on Team Mona. You've cultivated that with your beautiful heart and your wonderful art. And so anytime you get any negativity going, that's got to be thrown out, including you. Protect yourself from you, right? You hear yourself saying something negative. What do I make my daughter do? I ask her to make it strong, but I ask her to say 3 nice things to herself in the mirror. When she says something mean to her about herself, I make her go say 3 nice things in the mirror. I actually do make her do that. I think that helps. Say something nice about yourself. Find something good about yourself and start changing the narrative. You get to choose. You can't control anything outside of you. You cannot control crazy people coming up to you in an art show and telling you that your painting has ruined their life.
Yeah.
That could happen. I'm just saying. It happens, right? Like, how do you even answer that? It just doesn't have anything to do with you. You can't control that person's moment, their relationship to your art, but you can control the dialogue that you have inside. That is something you can be in charge of, and it can be hard to turn it, but make it a practice, make it a goal, strive for that. Be like, you know what? I'm going to start seeing what's great about me as an artist. I'm going to see what's great about me as a person. I'm going to start putting value on my imagination and my dreams because they're meaningful too. Right?
Yeah.
My creative inner imaginative dialogue is valuable to me and the universe.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying. Like you do. Like you
Any
do.
more Sherpa-isms you'd like to slip in there?
Besides shady boots through your tulips? I don't know. Things I've said, I think I've actually, get your shady boots out of my tulips. I've yelled that at somebody before.
So Vicky was asking about that painting behind you.
Oh, that's coming up, isn't it?
I was just thinking, well, we've done that. I was like, oh, well, you haven't done that.
They have not done that. We're going to do that live on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
Right? This is the next. So I have 3 lighthouses. The 1 hoot is the sunset.
Uh-huh.
This is the 2 hoot, right, with the light in the lighthouse. And then we're going to have a 3 hoot storm. So all the stages of, because we have to do that in life, don't we? We have to turn on our inner lights and be light keepers and guide ourselves in through the long dark night and guide people we love in through the long dark night. And just like there are people in the world trying to tear everything down and make it worse, there really are people in the world trying to make it more beautiful, trying to make it kinder. There are people who just say a nice thing in line or let another person in on traffic or pay for the coffee behind them. There really is that happening as well. And so these paintings are dedicated to the heroes of the everyday who just try to make the world suck less.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have here's my thought on this. Nowhere else to live right now. I can't believe we don't just walk around the planet hugging each other every day going, I made it. Did you make it?
Yeah.
We're still here. No meteor has hit the planet. I think that's awesome. I love you. I'm so glad you're still alive. I wish we could do that. I think it's probably a little much to ask at this place, but I believe that Gene Roddenberry was a future, what is it? I can't remember the word for it. Futurist.
Yeah.
And I think he saw the direction that we're going, and I actually see a day someday we start to value each other for our diversity, for our creativity, for the fact that we're all the same and yet we're not. I think that's such a beautiful thing about us. And I think that we share this human experience, this extraordinary and this creative experience. And if I could wish for anything, it would be for all of us to walk up to each other's creative offerings and really see them. See the people standing next to us, not the surface of the people, but inside to what makes them real and makes them valuable, and maybe start celebrating our fun differences instead of being frustrated by them. Because if we were all exactly the same, it would just be a miserable universe.
So there's a handful of questions out here. No, it's good. There's a handful of questions, and there's a couple of hard ones, and one I think that you'd like to take a swing at.
I would love to.
Nancy was saying that she says she's not taken seriously because I follow your lessons.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's education shaming right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No, there's a group of people that, like, if you don't train with so-and-so, then you just simply haven't arrived. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a workshop with a great teacher or attending an incredible art school. Art school, by the way, is a wonderful experience. It really is. And if you have the resources and the ability to go and you can kind of go have that fabulous formative experience, then I celebrate that, and that's a wonderful thing. But if you can't, that's just as wonderful. You're gonna learn raw, wonderful things about art that maybe you might not learn in art school. They're both valid. But there will be people who will look at you and go, I think my favorite question is, where'd you train?
Oh, yeah. Like,
this isn't ballet.
No.
I get that you're probably not going to be a self-taught ballet dancer. I get that. It probably requires training. But art is actually something that can be self-taught for real. It doesn't matter where you get the education from. And so when somebody's like coming up to you saying, oh, well, you learned on YouTube, I'll tell you right now, some of the best artists on planet Earth are currently on YouTube sharing their skills. Mm-hmm. No, not every artist out there, but they're still being brave and they're still sharing their skills. But I know some, like, you'd have to pay a lot of money for their workshop artists that are on YouTube. Let's talk Tamara Laporte. She's one of the most published artists, and she's been in all the magazines, and she has YouTube videos, right? And it's a big deal to be in one of her classes. It's a huge deal.
It's an honor to be in one of her classes. Really, really nice people.
Yeah, Effie Wild and Andrea Gomal, and I actually think Vicky Papineau is pretty much off the chain. They're amazing, amazing, amazing creators. Tim Gagnon, I can just keep naming them. Kevin Hill, they're good teachers and they understand their craft. William Kemp, let's all take a minute to go. William Kemp, dude, has some YouTube videos and is a tremendous information on art. Golden Pain is on here. It's like not understanding what the platform is what it is they don't even understand what you're doing, right? And they have to come up and because you're doing well in a particular way or you're not doing something they feel you should do in art, then they have to come and trash you. And that really is about them. If they have time to trash you, they honestly should be in their studio painting. I don't really have a lot of trash people time because I have artwork to do. I swear, Frugal Crafter says that too. I know Angela Anderson says that too, which is, I don't have any time for this crazy. I have artwork to do.
Yeah.
Right? And I kind of question artists that have the free time to go around and grief other artists. It's just like, if you got nothing to do, I'll give you some clay. Go work on your pottery skills. To give you some, I mean, but
I gotta throw some more pottery, get better at that. So I'm not gonna have. I currently make pottery that it's
fine. His pottery's fine, and he really is good at glazing. He's very good at the mechanics of it, and we just had one semester, and you don't get good at pottery in one semester.
Well, I got good at making explosive pottery.
That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's just
you
the
can
journey.
hear that stuff.
Just the journey. Who cares? The result is irrelevant. It's really the journey. The result is irrelevant. So you will have people come up and say, oh, well, she's just like on YouTube. And then, and I always challenge those people. I'm like, I'm happy to take it to an easel with a live model anytime because I have a practice outside of this. So it doesn't ever personally hurt my feelings because I know who I am as a fine artist. And the reason I felt okay about coming on YouTube and sharing my skills is I knew I really understood the medium and I understood the process, and I would have a way of sharing it with people that maybe would help them understand it. And I felt like I could answer questions when they came up, and I felt like I could. And the only reason I felt like I could is I had a lot of experience in my field and a lot of success, and I felt like I could share that.
Yeah.
So I'm confident in where I'm at, and I don't mind if people go, "Oh, she's a silly hat." Fine, I still paint really well, so let's go. But that's about me being really okay with me, right? And that did not happen in my life. That was something I worked at. I wasn't born okay with me. I struggled, and every day I'm still working on it and getting better with me. And I'm going to work on it till I exit, till I cross the Rainbow Bridge. I'm going to work on being a centered, whole human being, probably until I leave the mortal plane.
Yep.
And then hopefully get a stamp that says, "You get it now."
Past.
I don't know. But that's going to be my goal. And there will be people who attack it. Like my mom, Ginger Cook, her workshops, by the way, if you were to go to like one of her big Jersey Aroma sponsored workshops, are like $800.
Uh-huh.
And they're booked. And she just also happens to have some YouTube classes. And really established artists come to her wave and water class for a reason.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's always easy to go, "Oh, well, Agnes Cecile's on YouTube." Dude, have you seen that girl paint? Or Bailey J? Come on, the girl's got skills. It's just,
Skills.
skills. You got ninja.
Oh, you
I
know
got
what?
skills like a ninja.
We have not asked people to like, comment,
Subscribe,
subscribe,
yeah.
share. Do
I
all
think
those wonderful
I'm
things.
just more like, if I can say like 2 things that help somebody relieve the inner
So
pain
many-
they carry
everybody.
about this, that would be,
Now,
I would consider that a win on YouTube forever into perpetuity.
now I know that the soapbox has been tall today, but you haven't. I wish you could see how many people are out here and really appreciated everything that you said.
I know, I'm
You know,
on my
it's
soapbox.
really connected. To
My self-love
this.
soapbox is a big
Oh
one.
no, this is important, and it's everybody here agrees this is a really important thing, and you're talking about important things, and they really appreciate it. No, and
Wow.
it's good.
That's
I
good.
heckle
Okay.
you a little bit, but you don't get to
He
see the
doesn't
chat.
really heckle me. I'm really supported. I really am.
But
I'm very lucky.
I don't give her the chat channel to see because she does stand and read the chat.
I do just read it. I'm just
And
fascinated to
she's
see
just
what you
like,
guys
"Oh,
say. Like, I
hi."
read your comments, and that's why some of this really gets to me. Like when I hear somebody's spouse attack their work, or they're not being supported by who they should be, or somebody comes in and says, "Oh, well, your teacher sucked." It's like, dude. I mean,
She just
I've
wants
had
to
some
get 'em.
established teachers that were not that great. I've had some like known, respected teachers that were supposed to be a big deal. I was sitting in the class going, "Really?"
Cinnamon definitely falls into that Valkyrie paladin past life.
I'm a paladin.
Role. You know, dun, 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 she's going to do the good work.
Yeah, it's a twitch.
You know, and
I can't help it. It's twitch.
so thank you all for coming and sharing and sharing everything, and and do me a favor, go over to Todd's channel. He's been hanging out with us this entire time, and go like, comment, and subscribe and share on one of his videos.
Yeah, and he did a really great one on creativity, which we will iCard here once the video is processed.
It's actually been shared up in chat here.
Oh, okay, good, because
And-
that was a really good thing. And Todd goes through that as a photographer. We all go through these creative things, and there is some information out on YouTube.
He's really talked about that here
for
in chat.
those of us that are on YouTube, I want to say this. I think right now nobody gets it. Nobody knows what we're doing. They don't understand it. But I think in 10 years, when Bob was up, everybody Bob was given so much grief at first by the art community as not being serious. And I've heard a lot of really negative stuff said about that man's body of work. But as time has gone by and people have had to look at the 30,000 paintings that he did and the work that he did, you would be hard-pressed to find a serious artist now that does not hold him in high respect. That was not necessarily true when he was teaching on TV, and the students that he had weren't given respect. But that was about people's stupidity. It wasn't about the work that they were doing or the work that he was doing. That was just about people being so unfamiliar with what was going on that they just didn't get the miracle that they were witnessing, and now we all know.
Yeah.
And so I think on YouTube...
I remember my mom painting with Bob.
Yeah.
And I had his paintings on my wall from her as a kid.
Serious stuff. But was he treated like it was serious at the time? No. Right? Even though other artists who were serious working artists respected him because they're like, dude, that guy works hard. Real artists, a lot of times, I mean, obviously we come in all personalities and some of us suck. Mostly working artists just respect other working artists no matter where they are in that journey, and we respect what it takes to earn a skill, and we respect what it takes to get the job done, and so we really try to respect each other. I tend to get my hackles up if somebody's being a punk, but you know.
There's a lot of Bob lovers in the room, and if you guys are, go out and check out the PBS Bob Ross remix. It's really good. There's a
for
musical
Melody
remix
Sheep.
for Melody Sheep. Beautiful.
I just want you to know that you're valuable.
Yes, everyone in the room. If you don't know you're valuable, just know that I would give you a big art hug right now and say you are.
You really are. And the work that you're doing, whether it's understood by others, as long as it's understood by you, and it's understood by your heart, and it's understood by you as a being across time, then it has value. And that's really true. Nobody valued Vincent van Gogh when he was alive. We value him now. And it's not about everybody loving you. Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be an exhausting journey? Everybody's got to love me. It's hard, right? Because there's always that guy that hates puppies and rainbows. You're never going to win him over because he's just committed to hating puppies and rainbows. And if you're made of puppies and rainbows, man, he's going to be like, I hate you. Whatever, right? What can you can't. This isn't a popularity contest. This is art. This is about you telling your truth on a canvas and getting as raw and real about it as you can every time. And knowing that you painted better yesterday than you're painting today, knowing that a painting that doesn't work out is not your whole future of art. Other paintings will come. Some of them will be brilliant. Some of them will be like maybe less than satisfying to you as a creative being, and you'll move on to the next painting. These are all normal things. And feeling bad when you're picked on is normal, and nobody deserves being shamed, and nobody deserves their artwork being attacked. And it is literally outrageous that we don't have the strength and will and the wherewithal to treat each other decently. I just really hope that in your life that you will let your light shine and not apologize. If you're talented, fly that flag. Like if you're out winning a bunch of shows, don't ever let a bunch of ladies tell you you don't deserve to be there.
No.
Don't let somebody tell you you don't deserve to be there. Grandma Moses was self-taught, and she's considered one of the greatest artists of all time. Okay? And she started in what was it, 80s? It was crazy. Nobody has the right to tell you anything about what's going on in your canvas. This space right here, I'm really get up on the soapbox. This space right here is your divine creative space. It belongs to you, and nobody has a right to weigh in on it but you, really. It's okay to ask your peers for advice. It's okay to go to your supporters. Don't take this to your critics. They don't even deserve to look at it.
Yeah.
They don't even deserve your time. They really don't. Nobody deserves to rent space in your head or your heart. And if they're in there, get it out through doodling or your canvas or writing it down. Get them out. Pay attention to the people who love you. Start tuning out the people that don't support you.
On that, I would like to say to every one of our community members, I value your artwork. I love to see it. And thank you for sharing it with me because it makes my day better every day when I go out there and I see the artwork that you guys have done with us. It makes me so happy, and it makes it worth everything I do. So thank you. I really, really mean that.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to start this art journey. I have such admiration for everybody here. Just the esteem I hold you guys in is so high.
You're so
Every
brave.
time I see a first-time painter pick up that brush and try to complete a painting and they get through it, I'm so blown away. I'm so humbled and awed by the courage that it takes to start an art journey and how many people take that art journey. And then when I see you guys be there for each other, I am literally like, people are like, how can you work that hard? That's why. I will show up every day for good people. I will show up every day for good people and give them everything I have to help them get, art changes people, people change the world.
Now, I know we could go just forever. We got one more question that I'm going to squeeze in here because we have somebody who's going to go out and sell here for the first time.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
But I just wanted to say that before we go down the last question, that thank everyone for showing everyone up. You guys are so huge. It's like 222. We've had the magic number here for a long time. It's just been at 222. I love that. And everyone's been commenting on it.
Thank you for coming today. Thank you.
So thank you guys for liking and commenting and sharing. And so the question was, John, how do you deal with the stranger seeing your art for the first time, please? I'm about to go out and sell soon.
Yeah, that's like walking around naked, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be hanging your artwork, and it's going to be strangers seeing your stuff for the first time. If I could take a time machine back to my younger self, to my very first art show, the advice I would have given myself was to keep a small notepad and pen with me. I wish I'd done this. I do this now, but I wish I'd done this at the time. Because you're going to have a lot of people come up and see your work, and they're going to say all kinds of things. The majority of people will say something positive, and some people may say some stuff that you don't get or relate to. You have to realize that you've made the painting, your journey with it's over. Now they're having an experience, doesn't have a thing to do with you. You don't know their day, you don't know what they came from, you don't know their shoes, so you've got to kind of be like, all right, this is me just observing my painting's impact on the world. But every time you hear something positive that really, really makes you feel good, write it down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Every art show, write down every nice thing somebody said to you and keep that.
And
Because what you're going to get is a book of just reasons why you should get up every day and paint. Actually, in fact, if you could just all do that, every time somebody makes a nice comment that impacts you, every time somebody says something that lifts you up, if you took the moment to write that down, right, and put that inside, that will turn your art journey into something so miraculous and so amazing and so sustainable.
yeah.
Through everything life has to throw you. People are like, how do you sustain? It's called the book. Every time you guys say something where John and I helped you, every time you guys share a story where art helped you, we keep those stories and we look at them on a tired day, man. That'll just lift you up.
Yeah.
That'll just lift you up. So make your own lift you up book and keep that with you. That's what I wish I could tell my younger self for my first art show. One, everything everyone's saying has nothing to do with you, good or bad. It's just them and their reaction to your art. You know, always keep an ear out for stuff that may be relevant to you. Like, you know, you wanna be kind of like removed from it to be like, oh, maybe I need to hang on this kind of canvas, or oh, people really like when I did this. That's helpful to you in the business of your art, but try to detach a little bit from what's going on, because it just is its own experience. And you too will now have great, interesting stories of people who've said crazy things to you in relationship to your paintings. And that's always fun at dinner parties.
You have a book of laughs for sure.
You do. You have a book of laughs for sure. All of us artists, when we get together, we like to share the craziest thing ever said to us. And we're all crack ups.
Yeah.
Because it'll be some stuff.
Yep.
It'll be some, and you can't predict it.
Just keep painting.
Just keep painting.
Just keep painting.
Just keep painting. Never stop. Never stop being creative. Never stop hot gluing. Never stop dreaming. Never stop imagining. Never stop valuing your inner dreamer.
Absolutely. We love you guys.
Love you guys. I'm going to see you back at this easel to do this lighthouse this Saturday.
Yeah, that's right.
And be kind. Support each other. Don't tolerate the intolerance, not even in yourself.
Love you guys.
Bye.